Alright, so this is one of the last games in the Balcora Cup that we have to play in the group stages. I don't know what they're talking about in the lobby. But this is Whaleface versus Robey. So I think this is the last game both of these guys have to play. And they are finished with their group stage matches, which I'm very happy about. I was kind of worried, people were going to drag their feet about their matches, but everyone got their matches done really quick. And it turns out that I'm one of the ones who is yet to finish a lot of theirs. I've still got to play Cloaked, I've still got to play Hatcham, although I feel like Hatcham, I can't seem to bump into him very often, even though I'm online all the time. I haven't really been able to find that guy. Anyway, let's focus on this match though. So we've got Tyler in the default colours, so I'm playing as an ally of him. Therefore he's in the yellow tactical overlay. And over here we've got Robey. Robey with a kind of a bland colour scheme. I don't really like it. I feel like you do need the colour, What is this, black and grey? Or is it black and... yeah, it's black and grey, right? I'm not sold on it. Anyway, we're back on Shield, which has been a very popular pick this tournament, which is quite understandable. It's one of the only really small maps that are available to play. We are seeing another Vega player. Although actually, that's not technically true. Robey picks Homeworld 2 random, I believe. As for Tyler, he always locks in that Hiigaran. Now, both of these guys actually did pick Shield, so perhaps Narwhale has a plan for this map. We'll have to see. Robey obviously the favoured player in this matchup, but you can't count people out. Tyler might have been watching the casts, he might have been doing all this kind of stuff, might have picked up a lot of tips, and he might be ready to show us how far he's come already. Getting some scouts out now, this is very good. Obviously a little bit slower than Robey's scouts, although to be honest, Tyler's scouts could just kill these scouts from Robey. They are Hiigaran scouts, and if you look at the speed stat, 486, 350. Vega scouts are very slow until they get that speed upgrade, after which they do become slightly faster than the Hiigaran counterpart. However, for now, this is a bad matchup for the Vega scouts. Honestly, I feel like Vega is just best making early probes, because a scout costs as much as 3 probes. If you can afford to get your probe sniped twice before it becomes cost inefficient. In fact, you still just break even, really. Especially on a map like Shield, you can just put a probe here, and you get basically full scouting information. My voice is a little hoarse from casting so many of these games. It's been quite a busy week for me casting. Robey's scout now actually, I feel like it must be set to passive, and was idle for a couple of seconds there. Luckily though, begins moving back to the carrier at exactly the right time, but still will get picked up by that quick turnaround. I mean, the Hiigaran scouts are so much faster that they were able to make that maneuver work. Robey now with the Corvettes. I'd imagine this is double Corvettes, and it is. Tyler, I hope to see torpedoes, but I'm not seeing much of anything. I'm seeing one fighter facility and a research module, and he is getting interceptors. So he's seen these Corvettes, and I don't like to judge players before I've seen what they can do, but I feel like the continued production of fighters here is a very indicative thing that Narwhale really doesn't know what he's trying to do here. He doesn't really understand how to fight against Corvettes as Hiigaran. Hiigaran's 2 options against Corvettes are of course the Torpedo Frigate and the Pulsar Gunship. Interceptors are definitely not the solution. Narwhale, I think this is an idle collector. I mean, this is kind of inexcusable. To be honest, even as a new player, I'm sort of expecting people to be able to pick up on idle collectors, because, I mean, this is just one screen, and I can see it. It doesn't really matter where you're looking in Shield. You can probably see this collector being idle. I mean, if it was one back here, perhaps I can understand, because your screen is generally going to be over here. But, I mean, this is over here, so why? Why is this idle? Robey immediately starts laying damage down. Narwhal without even an interceptor speed upgrade. I have to wonder, is he AFK or something? He can't be, right, because he sent his interceptors down and now they're back up here. This collector does get moving. It looks like it's just been assigned to dock, which is the correct call. The interceptors do have speed now. No, they don't actually. Just a perspective thing. So Narwhal, I've got to say, not looking very good in this shield game. He did actually make the correct technology switch here, which was the torpedo frigates. However, you know, he's on 4 collectors here. Potentially he can push Robey back, but I feel like Robey is simply going to overwhelm him. He's ahead in economy and these things are getting upgrades now. You know, it would be a trivial thing for Robey to just pump out a bunch of laser corvettes at this point and just take that fight. Narwhal decides to respond with a sort of a mixed response here. I'm imagining he's going torpedo plus pulsar. Now, torpedo plus pulsar is actually a nice idea. However, its main issue is the startup cost. You have to pay for the technology each time. So you're paying for 2 technologies here. And that's quite an investment. You don't get a return on that investment unless you've got a lot of space to work with. And on shield, you don't have that much space. On shield, you need to have the units now. Of course, these interceptors are just getting cleared up without doing anything. The best things to do with these would have been to retire them. I'm not sure, this is probably an emulation of Hypertorp. That torpedo frigate did disappear, so I guess it'll pop up. Ah, okay. Probably not the best hyperspace, but I guess this is a crisis situation, so fair enough. This pulsar trickling out now with no upgrades, of course, is going to get cleared up extremely quickly. If these missile corvettes could land their shots. There we go. Missile corvettes now deciding that it's best to just hang back for a bit, perhaps? No, just going to dive back in. This amount of missile corvettes probably can take out this torpedo frigate. If the armor upgrade appears here, they probably can't. I don't know why there's another fighter facility popping up here. Another batch of pulsars comes out and pretty much one of them's already dead. This missile corvette squadron is on 1 out of 4, it needs to be focused down. Second torpedo frigate hyperspacing right here. This is so disappointing from Tyler. From Narwhal, I guess. Tyler, Narwhal, I wonder what his preferred name is. Oh, he does pick that missile corvette though, that's very good. Surprised to see no lasers yet. Robey leaving a carrier behind. Obviously that's just a testament to how far ahead he is in economy. Corvettes, more corvettes. No module yet, we'll have to see. There is obviously this capital class production. That was to make the carrier, but there is, you know, there's always a vague threat that a destroyer will pop out. But back to what I was just saying, I would love to see one of these torpedoes hyperspaced not here, but over here. You know, kill the collectors. That said though, I'm not sure if he has the improved torpedo upgrade, which is obviously essential if you want to kill collectors. Simply more and more corvettes being added on now. No lasers. What is his solution here? A 3rd corvette facility actually does get added on, so Robey is all in on these corvettes. Honestly, at this point I would have maybe even liked to see... Aye, there it is! Aha! So he is doing these things, it's just quite a few minutes slower than I'd like to see them. Also, these torpedoes getting wasted over here. So the torpedo frigate fires 2 torpedoes in a burst, and this is a laser corvette squadron. That's very unfortunate that this popped out just as Tyler went for this. Back to what I was just saying here, the torpedoes fire in bursts of 2, and 2 is how many torpedoes it takes to kill a collector. So if you waste one of your torpedoes, you have to wait for the whole recharge time before you're able to fire the second one. These pulsars have a death wish, they're taking a very bad fight here. Of course they don't have their upgrades, which is very understandable. I mean, a lot of our users being dumped to hyperspacing these torpedoes around about this tiny map, and his economy is not great to begin with, so he really doesn't have any wiggle room here. The torpedoes getting cleared up in short order by these lasers. Torpedoes jumping from here to here is a massive waste of IUs. Flagship now pushing up in through middle. 3 queues against 2 queues. 2 fully saturated patches. Well, this one could stand with a couple more, but it's almost full. Against this is, you could hardly call this saturated. And this one's oversaturated, to be honest. Torpedoes, still 2 of them are on the field, although there were a grand total of about 5 made in this game, so... Lasers now, that this is really really good from Tyler, actually. You know, torpedoes are actually quite clippy. You know, they can move around at quite a pace. Unupgraded laser corvettes might actually struggle to catch up with them, like we just saw that happen. However, while he was running this one, he forgot that this one was in danger, and it just got left behind and got sniped. So a really good idea to kite with the torpedo frigate as it's shooting corvettes, but loses the one that was standing its ground. Collector's now getting cleared up. Tyler didn't have an economy to begin with, now he really doesn't have one. Second torpedo frigate getting cleared up. Quite a sort of a standard sort of veteran versus beginner game. You know, we don't really get to see many of these micro moments, fantastical flagship scuffles and things like that. It tends to just be the newer player is simply playing far slower than the more veteran player, and simply gets outproduced and out economy, and just you know, like Robey, he is doing all the micro he needs to be doing, which is not very much. Because to be honest, when you've got this kind of army advantage and this kind of economic advantage, it really does not matter. All of these are laser corvettes, all of these are missile corvettes. Another laser corvette over here now. Obviously Robey now transitioning out of the corvette technology, at least for both of his carriers? No, just for one. And actually he sold it on his flagship as well, so he's getting those frigates now, which is, you know, it's fine. I feel like if you've got laser corvettes though, the missing hole in your technology is actually the fighters. But in this kind of scenario, where your opponent's last unit is the torpedo frigate, heavy missile frigates are of course an A-OK idea. None of those modules got sold before the carrier went down, and that was not a scuttle either, so it didn't even get to pick off any of these corvettes. Torpedo now going down very quickly. Second torpedo hiding in the middle in the RU line. I think perhaps 2 laser corvette squadrons went down here. No, I think it was 1.5. These torpedoes only able to do that though because they have that armor upgrade. And I do believe that these are still slow corvettes from Robey. No, I think they're actually fast now. Every single collector here is of course going to get cleared up. This one I think is trying to... Huh, I have no idea. Trying to hide around the... Oh no, they're trying to repair the mothership. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Trying to extend the game time as long as possible. 1 missile corvette squadron on 1 out of 4 could get cleared up. Unlikely, the torpedo is going to go down beforehand. I think there's a... Nope, that was just a missile. I thought I saw a torpedo chasing that. Tyler's not happy about this result. And I can understand why, you know, he just really just collapsed. It wasn't even really close. There's the surrender. I do believe that was a surrender, not a scuffle. GG called by Robey, not by Tyler though. Oh, there it is, okay. Very short game that one, 14 minutes. Actually, that was a scuttle. You saw a couple of vets were picked up there. That was game 1, very, very quick, which can happen on Shield, especially with a skill discrepancy. It's very punishing in that way. Interestingly, the ships killed are actually almost identical, but that is only because Robey, of course, was making a lot of strike craft, whereas Tyler was making a lot of frigates. And the RU difference tells the story. You know, Robey only built one extra collector, but Tyler had a very bad distribution on his collectors and lost quite a few of them very early. So, you know, this kind of difference in a 14-minute game, pretty enormous. Okay, let's get on to game 2. For some reason S is hosting these. Now Sanjo is sort of empathizing a bit with Tyler here. Of course, Sanjo was the last person Robey played, and their game actually went in a very similar direction. Robey... sorry, I said Robey was playing Homeworld 2 random earlier. I forgot he actually is now locked in on Vega for this one. Tyler, of course, still with the Hiigarans. So Sanjo was actually empathizing a bit with Tyler here because her match with Robey went very similarly. She had a anti-Corvette frigate on the field. That was her composition. And Robey had a lot of Corvettes. But Sanjo bled her frigates into a big Corvette ball without any support. And we kind of saw that from Tyler. In a way, though, I feel like Tyler really had no options in that game. Sanjo definitely had options. You know, Sanjo's game against Robey actually could have been won by Sanjo. Whereas Tyler there, I feel like he was just behind from the very word go. Am I on the right team? What the hell is going on? Okay, there we go. That was close. People keep changing their teams at the last second. It's very confusing. Whoa, these slots. Right, okay. Looks like we're going to be having Robey in the yellow colours this time. The game is underway. Hopefully we'll see Tyler adapt a little bit here. His unit composition was, you know, it was decent. The torpedoes are a great answer for the Vega Corvettes. And actually going torpedo pulse can work if you've got space to make it work. But on shield, I really don't feel like you have the wiggle room. Robey, this is Robey this time in the yellow colours. I always like to see people's first few seconds in the game. Looks like Robey was doing something for a couple of seconds there. His collectors are going over here a little bit, his carrier a little bit slow to move over here. Perhaps he's still a bit rusty. The build menu time was a bit long for him, I think, because a probe did come out. Flagship not moving yet, which is a good idea. You don't want to block your own collectors. A lot of idle time on that collector here, though, and it doesn't actually want to go over here just yet. Neither of these two. They both want to go over here. Alternatively, actually, that is true. It is slightly more optimal to send this one here, and but I don't know why this one was taken off here to send over there. You can send it over there once one of these undocks, and then once this one's finished docking, you can send it this way. But I really feel like stuff like that is not going to matter for a very long time in Homeworld Remastered. Players have got to get a lot better before tiny collector movements like that start to become a huge deal. Robey kind of struggling to get his flagship in position here. I feel like that is because the Vega flagship starts a little bit too close to the patch here, and it actually gets very strange pathfinding issues. A pro from Robey this time, which is a much better idea. Gets the same amount of vision about the same information. I don't like this aggressive positioning though. It just means that Tyler is able to clean up free, whereas if it was close to your carrier, he might have some reservations about that. Tyler with no modules. And again, actually saw this last game, but didn't comment on it. And I've actually seen this in every single game he's played so far. His mothership, you know, he moves it, but he doesn't turn it. So he'll move it here, and in fact he's over moving it. This is too far now. Where is he moving it? Looks like he might be trying to move it all the way over here. And Robey actually complaining about his flagship now. It's very annoying. You have to learn the right places to move it. It also helps, of course, to have that thing in the evasive. Now this is I don't really know how to justify this from anybody. Wow, that is the fastest frigate facility I think we've seen from a Hiigaran in the tournament. And I think that's the fastest frigate facility I've seen it from a Hiigaran perhaps in a month. Unfortunately though, Robey flipping the script completely. It's not even touching the Corvette technology this time. And we're seeing an assault craft rush. I haven't seen an assault craft rush in, well, about the same time I haven't seen a super fast torpedo frigate. I much prefer Robey's position in this game though, even with the fighter speed already. So this is a dedicated rush. I have no idea why Tyler decided to grab his mothership from here and put it all the way round the patch to here. Very confusing. You know, you just grab it, move it here, and then turn it to face this direction, so the RU drop-off is facing the patch. I wonder if we're actually going to see any collector kills, because this is only 3 assault craft. And the collectors, of course, can dock, usually dock before they die. But this drop-off is actually blocked. There may just be enough time. This one might kill it. Oh, one comes from underneath and actually snipes that. A couple of scouts from Tyler here. Not sure why, perhaps just to add a little bit more damage while he struggles to get interceptors out in time. Of course, his interceptors were a very late technology for him, so they don't have their speed. These super fast blind frigates not paying off at all. In fact, we don't even see one being built. There is a collector dock, and it just manages to dock. That's very frustrating for Robey. I'd imagine he'll just pull back and wait for a better opportunity. This is starting to get a bit dicey. There's, you know, the scouts, they don't add too much damage, but I think a couple of them like this will chip away steadily. And obviously there's 2 interceptor squadrons in the field now, I think, unless these are all scouts. No, that is an interceptor squadron. Of course they can't take the fight at all, because wildly outnumbered. Their only advantage is the dock point and the hull defense from the carrier. Now there's this torpedo frigate, so he does actually get one. I suppose at this point it was worth it, because he did go for this frigate facility. He's got to use it, right? Well, I guess that's not really true. He could have just sold it, but sticking with his guns, I guess, is what I like to see. A couple of interceptors, I have no idea why they're going over here. They're going to die. Is this just 1 interceptor? I think it's 2 things, right? Yeah, it was 2. So, Narwhale, the next time you're playing, you know, just move your mothership and then make it face away from the patch. Because look how far this collector's got to go to reach this drop-off. Very suboptimal placement here. The assault craft not with a massively convincing lead here. And here's the reason why. Robey actually decided he was done making assault craft, and he was, look at this, even on the carrier, with the Corvette facility now. This is also not very good mining. I know the Vega flagship is frustrating. It has problems pathfinding around certain RU patches, such as this one on Shield. But it is, you know, you have to keep trying, is my point here. You can't let this happen. He'll get away with it for now because he's got such an army lead, but again, as he moves up and during the elimination phase, things like this are going to cost you. The assault craft managing to... I think they're taking this fight slowly. Although, if Tyler continues to reinforce with more and more interceptors, they will eventually take the fight. Robey now realizing, hey, I don't even need to win this fight. Just going to set all of my guys to evasive to stall it out, while my missile corvettes clear up the econ. However, surprise surprise, what has Tyler been making in the pack but extremely fast torpedo frigates? I can't really fault Robey too much for not expecting torpedo frigates to hit the field this quickly, because it is crazy to see them this fast, especially in this kind of a game. However, you know, this is S.H.I.E.L.D. After his first probe, Robey just sort of gave up on getting any vision, so he hasn't been able to see his opponent's mothership for quite a long time. I will check to see if that's correct, but it is. The torpedoes were firing at interceptors for quite a long time there. Now they do correctly start focusing these missiles. The missiles do have their upgrades, so they will be able to dock quite easily. A couple of interceptors now straying, you know, right into enemy territory, and without the speed upgrade, these interceptors are basically worthless. I think I've quite loudly said this in a number of my videos. You cannot skip the interceptor speed upgrade. You cannot skip the speed upgrade for interceptors. Do not skip the interceptor speed upgrade. Okay, I said it 3 times this time. Skipping this upgrade is throwing away every single squadron of interceptors you've built. Fighters only have mobility for durability, right? A squadron of bombers is only able to survive the way it does because it's able to dodge the fire because it's flying around so fast. A squadron of interceptors is the same. Narwhale actually experiencing a bit of a bug here. I've noticed this recently. I'm not sure. We didn't change anything, but a couple of squads here now kind of unsure about what they're doing in life. The fix for this usually is to grab these guys and scuttle them, and then a fully replenished squadron will actually launch from the carrier. I'll take a screenshot of this actually. I suppose I do have it recorded, but very interesting bug this. Still with no speed upgrade on these interceptors, completely inexcusable. You cannot do this. Now these torpedo frigates don't have any upgrades on them because Tyler's economy is very weak on the front here, and to be honest, he's only on 6 collectors with this back patch as well. So I'm honestly surprised he's even been able to last this long. That said, I guess the reason is probably because Robey himself is on a very low economy. This is 6 and 6. However, that is a superior economy, so you rarely see a 6-6 economy being considered like a head. But against what Narwhale is fielding here, it definitely is. So Narwhale really can't afford any of his upgrades, although, you know, you've got to get this one. It's so cheap, come on. The interceptor speed upgrade is worth about 5 interceptor squadrons. Torpedoes obviously with no armor, which is much more reasonable. You know, the armor upgrade is quite expensive. These laser corvettes getting focused down pretty hard now. But there is another one to back it up. That will clean up this torpedo. Further interceptors being built here. Honestly, Robey could probably just go back into aggressive with his assault craft and win the fight. Because these interceptors don't have their speed, you know, it's... I don't know. I guess it kind of triggers me. But, similar story to the last game, I think. Narwhale, with not a terrible unit composition, but doesn't have the economy or the numbers to make it work. Man, if these interceptors just got their speed upgrade, he'd be able to start doing things, because he does have a sizable number of interceptors this time. Just buy the speed upgrade. Please. Oh, my heart. One laser corvette escaping here, one missile corvette escaping here. Will they escape though? These interceptors might have something to say. Oh, this is a good move from Robey. I'm going to assume that that was on purpose. Part of me thinks that this is just part of a control group that he accidentally assigned over here. Yes, it probably was, because look, it's docking now. But let's just pretend that he did that on purpose to sort of dodge the interceptors chasing it. Now these torpedo frigates will get whittled down and then sniped by these laser corvettes. Blammo. I believe these laser corvettes don't have upgrades. They may have the armor upgrade. I'm very bad at remembering what the numeric values of these upgrades are. If I had a missile corvette squadron, I could probably tell. I think they don't have speed though. Or missile corvettes? Yeah, I think this is armor, but not speed. Maybe. Interceptors, slow interceptors now also, not only are they not upgraded, they're also being miscontrolled very poorly here. For some reason they're beelining for a collector that they have no right taking. You know, there's all of these assault craft ready to snipe you. You know, while this is all happening, these laser corvettes are over here. Just massacring any torpedoes they come across. A couple of them do need to dock at this point though. You know, torpedo frigates take a toll each time they come out. The carrier now gonna go down though, which is Robey's focus. It's gonna go down without these very weak squads though, so you can probably dock those. Now if this is a scuttle, this could be quite bad. I mean, look how clumped these laser corvettes are. Nope, was not a scuttle, just a kill. Lucky for Robey there, I think. Well, I say lucky, I mean, even without all of these laser corvettes, he would probably still be the massive favourite for this game to win. These missile corvettes, of course, just beelining straight for these collectors. The laser corvettes will deal with the defending units. That second carrier out at a very standard conservative timing for the Vega player. Obviously, usually we see these carriers a bit earlier, but Robey's been on that low economy, so that's what I mean by a sort of a standard time for a low economy game. Robey hesitating a little bit, is he? Nope, these corvettes are just that slow. I thought he had them parked for a minute though. Torpedo's now taking shots at these missile corvettes, which is fine, but they really need to deal with these laser corvettes. Grab them both, start kiting, split them apart. Nope, just gonna leave one to die. This other one, just by accident, ends up moving away from these laser corvettes, but now will get caught by those. One laser corvette managing to shoot one of its friends. That happens quite often. Another torpedo pops out here, but it does have the armor upgrade, but this is too many lasers at this point. The assault craft, early retirement here, although he is building more assault craft. Laser corvettes, just dock them at this point. You know, not docking them is actually hurting your DPS because this squadron is doing 1/4 of the DPS it should be doing. Same for this guy. The same for that guy. This guy's doing 75%. You know, docking will get you that DPS back. He does now seem to be docking these ones, but one of them actually goes down. Torpedo frigate just going to be killed in a pass by a laser corvette squadron here. All the collectors are getting cleared up by the missile corvettes, as expected. He needs to get these missile corvette squadrons back into aggressive though, because they lose quite a lot of damage when they're evasive like this. Interceptors now saying, one last hurrah, we're not out of this game yet. Coming to weaken this collector to the point of, I think it had like 10 health left, so the missile corvettes kill stealing that one. Tyler now desperately trying to get out torpedo frigates to stem the tide, but There's nothing to be done here. Torpedo frigates tries to hyperspace away to save itself. That's not going to work. And yeah, Robey just pushing him with more corvettes. May go into frigates or something just to seal the deal, because the mothership is very tanky. Nov doesn't seem to be interested in this. Maybe a destroyer is coming out, because I don't see any modules on this flagship. May have just sold it for something else though. Robey asking his opponents to surrender here. Do I consider this BM? Not sure how I feel about that. It is fair enough to say this kind of stuff, because in my opinion as well, it was true. But telling your opponents to surrender is a bit iffy in a tournament. Regardless though, Robey does take this game, Tyler agrees with him and does surrender. So that was in fact, as he confirmed in chat, a destroyer. Not a great skull, but does manage to catch a couple of strike craft as they try and dock with that carrier. So just two very standard, clean, sort of what we were expecting games in this Robey versus Tyler series. Tyler just getting overwhelmed and not really understanding the principles of economy in Homeworld Remastered. But definitely made decent unit choices, and scouted reasonably early and all this sort of stuff. So just a couple of holes in his gameplay which can be patched up if he just focuses on them. That's going to wrap up this it's not a best of two, just a 2-game series. There are a couple more of these to come out, and then we'll move on to the elimination phase, which I think is going to be pretty hype. I think the finals for the winners wonder who will make it to finals. I'm thinking it's going to be S versus Taigai, or maybe Cloaked will be there. I have a shot at it, but it's feeling a bit dicey at this point. But I'll see you guys next time for the next group stage match. Ciao, ciao.